Welcome to Sports and Rants, the hottest sports radio show in America.
Sports. Rants. Brett. Pants. Sports. Rants. Brett. Pants.
Welcoming your hosts, Brett and Pants.
And we are live with Flyers legend Bob Kelly. Bob, how are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you guys doing? All right?
We're doing great. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, we're going to start off by asking you about what you think so far of the Flyers season.
Well, I think it's a work in progress. I think it always will be because of the changing landscape all the time. I mean, with some injuries here and there. I mean, we're coming back off the break. We kind of laid an egg last night. Not what we were really expecting, but San Jose was flying. I mean, after the first period, it looked like things were pretty good. In the second period, things just fell apart for us. So, we're in kind of a dogfight here. We got 23 games in 46 days, and none of them are going to be easy. So we just got to go out and approach with a positive attitude and work on some of the weaknesses that showed up last night.
Now, you also had the opportunity to be coached by one of the most innovative coaches in hockey history, Fred Shero. Can you go into detail about that?
Freddie the Fog. He was, he took the captaincy off of Eddie Van Impe and gave it to Clarkie. And then the guys looked at that because Eddie was the elder statesman. And then, he always looked to challenge you, writing his funny quotes out there. He'd come in and talk in the locker room, and he might talk at, say, Bill Barber, but he's talking about you. One time he wasn't happy with Rick McClish's play, so he brought a bucket of water and he set it down in the middle of the floor. He says, "Ricky, get over here. Put your hand in the water." So Ricky does. He says, "Now take your hand out." He says, "That's how long it's going to take to replace you, so you better get your acting gear." He just did all kinds of stuff. We had soccer balls out on the ice, and we had, just do different things, and we would do a drill, and then finally Clarkie said, "Freddie, this drill makes absolutely no sense at all. It's absolutely ludicrous and stupid." He says, "Yeah, I know. I just want to see how long before somebody would challenge me." So he was always full of stuff, and he was a real player's coach, and he defended his team, and he was a liaison with management. So I mean, Freddie had his quirkiness to him, but his mind never stopped. He was always thinking team, always thinking strategy, and just honored to have had the opportunity to play under him and to play in the city of Philadelphia.
Now, is that a coaching style that most players like, of one that's more of a player manager or a fun-loving guy, or is it more, or do some players like a strict coach?
Yeah, you know what? The attitudes of the players today is a lot different than where we are. We all come from small towns with not too much exposure, not like basketball, baseball, or football. We don't get all that combine and all that hoopla for getting drafted. You get a phone call, you're drafted, and you go. You're just proud to be there. And players today, they have a lot more on their plate than kind of what we had. I mean, hockey's a simple game, as is football and baseball. You just no need to get it all distorted with all kinds of different things to put in there, and just go play the game and have fun.
Now, during your career, you had an opportunity to go down Broad Street twice with the Stanley Cup. In '74, you guys beat Bobby Orr and the Boston Bruins. How was that experience like to beat a player of his caliber?
Well, I didn't get to play in the finals. I got knocked out in the Rangers series. We had about 5 guys go down, and I had a running feud with Ronnie Harris there, and Dornhofer went down, so I was filled in on the right side as a left winger, and he caught me. I couldn't get out and ripped my ligaments, so I didn't get that opportunity to play against Boston. And up there in the old Garden, you couldn't go with him because you had no place for your leg to sit, and it's a dumpy old building. But I give that team all the credit in the world, and sometimes it's a lot easier to play as an underdog. And when you look at the lineup the Boston Bruins had, especially with a healthy Bobby Orr and stuff, and really kind of figured out how we would do it. We knew the Rangers were going to be a tough, physical, grinding series, and it's like Boston. What are we going to do here? We're the underdogs. They know it, and we match up physically with them, but it isn't physicality that's going to necessarily dominate or win the series. So Freddie comes in and he goes, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give the puck to Bobby Orr. And I said, why would we want to do anything like that? And the idea was to, at every opportunity, make Orr go back, get the puck, haul the puck, and then, get in his way. And he said, don't spear him, don't slash him, don't take a stupid penalty on him. Bump him, make him skate around you, and he said he'll get tired out, and that was the strategy to beat Boston, and that strategy worked out because he was the key to everything, to the power plays, to the regular shifts and stuff like that. So, and our guys played brilliantly. I mean, Bernie was outstanding, and the guys they played shut down defense. Moose was huge in it. Billy Barber was huge. I mean, all the guys who filled in for the injured guys, I mean, they did a great job out there.
Now, what was that like to have a hand in bringing a Stanley Cup for the first time to Philadelphia?
Well, part of Freddie's slogans there, win today, we'll walk together forever. What most people don't know is that after he left the locker room, because I'm in there, we had tape on my leg and stuff, I'd been skating, but I didn't want to jeopardize and hurt the team by jumping back in the lineup. So I told the guys, I said, look, boys, if you guys don't win today, I'm playing in Game 7. So they went out and got over with in 6. So power of motivation.
How was that experience like going down Broad Street for the first time?
Well, having never done that or been around that many people before, I mean, nobody, the city, nobody knew what to expect. And again, dating and going back to those days, I mean, there was no 476, there was no road structures, no bridges, none of the stuff that you have around you here today. And when you think about the Devils winning the Cup and they get 15,000, 16,000 people in their parking lot, and you think about Anaheim, same thing with what they've got, some of the lesser parties. I mean, you could put 2.5 million people in our city, which just was crazy. And we were in some were in convertibles, some were in moonroofs there like that, and the drivers are just driving according to the light poles because you couldn't see up front. There was people in between the cars got separated. I mean, we had to be running over toes and feet and stuff like that. It was wild. But you know what? There was no riding, there was no destruction. Everything was geared just for happiness, and everybody came out to enjoy the celebration. It was awesome. I mean, the first time will always be in your mind because it's the first time. The second time was just as sweet.
During the playoffs in the season, God Bless America was played by Kate Smith. Did this help the team or pump them up in any way?
Well, Lou Scheinfeld was looking for something different. He was the vice president at the time here, I think, and he was just looking for something different. And she was huge during the war for getting out with the troops and doing everything. So they just decided to change it up one day and have her play, and the team won. So next time we'd been into a funk for a little bit, we had a big game we had to win. They played her again and we won. And it seems every time we played her, we could win. So and then she made a couple personal appearances on the ice, and it was like, okay, you're done singing, you can leave now. But she was just a great lady, and obviously she's statued over here at Xfinity, and she was a big part of us and still is. I mean, they still use it here, singing in duet with Lauren Hart, which is kind of cool.
Was there one Stanley Cup that was more memorable than the other for you?
Well, obviously the second Stanley Cup, and not because I scored the winning goal to finish it, but it was the idea that you're able to go start to finish, because if you're not in there bleeding and going through adversity and hurting like the rest of the guys, then you don't feel like you're part of the team. So it's even though you battled, I went down against the Rangers, having not played in that finals against Boston, you're not there for the end, and you just haven't suffered enough. You haven't paid enough. Hadn't have enough pain in you.
Did you feel as you guys were favorites going into that Stanley Cup in '75? Not
at all. No, in fact, we actually feared Buffalo more than Boston because they had the great line of Joe Perreault and Robert and Martin, and those guys could just flat out fly. Where they had some good speed there. They had big defensemen, and Boston had Orr who could really move, and McKenzie and Busick and Hodge, and Esposito was a bigger guy, longer stride, so it was a different kind of chemistry. But actually the Buffalo series turned out to be, according to some of the guys who played in both, was a tougher series. And like I said, they were a better skating club. They were well coached. They had good goaltending, so it was a pretty good battle. I mean, you don't win anything unless it's a good battle.
Now, you had the opportunity to play in what's now known as the Fog game. How was that like?
Well, playoffs back in those days weren't meant to go into June. The buildings didn't have air conditioning. So they had to bring in air conditioning from outside sources to pump into the building to try to keep the ice in there. And obviously, your dehumidification system's not working, so henceforth there comes the fog. And it was just crazy how Bernie couldn't see stuff. I mean, he was a stand-up goaltender, but he could have a pretty good idea for angles and stuff like that. And then the guy skating around in sheets, and then Jim Lorentz kills a bat out of the air flying through. I mean, it was bizarre. A lot of little nuances in there that thank God they're documented, because they're fun to look back on.
Now, in Game 6, you would score the decisive goal to give the Flyers a Stanley Cup victory. What was that moment like?
Well, there's two thoughts on that one. First of all, it took an awful lot of goals before that one had an opportunity to go in, so it's no different than anybody else's goals in any of the other series. So it's just the right place at the right time. But if you ever had an opportunity to look at that goal, you see the players today, when they score a goal, they all skate by the bench and tap, 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 tap. They all tap each other's gloves. And if you watch the video, I scored the goal and I skate right over the bench. And I said, Freddie, you owe me $5, because we used to practice that all the time, coming out from behind the net. And we would practice coming out of our end zone to your blue in the face. And the whole idea is repetition. And so I told him he owed me $5, because that's what we used to get back in those days for scoring from behind the net. So it worked out.
Now, going down Broad Street a second time, was that experience any different?
Yeah, this time we were up on a flatbed, so you had a better chance to survey and enjoy the crowd out there and the people. And again, there was no damage done, and it just gave everybody, every ethnic background, gave them an opportunity to enjoy themselves and have fun, which is what it's all about. And we went to work and had fun, and like I said, the best fans are here in Philadelphia for all the sports. I mean, they're demanding, and as they should be, because ticket prices are a lot higher, and demand work ethic out there. So if you don't want to work, you won't last in town very long.
Now, for many hockey fans, one of the most memorable moments of the Flyers were when they beat the Soviet Red team. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Well, first of all, we hated them, so that was good. And the Russians had been over before in the 60s, the 50s, and they just dominated. They dominated the team. So it's always been a standard when you play the Russians. So there was two teams that were over here touring, and the one that we had, the Red Army. I think they had one tie game that they were over here, but to culminate everything was to play against us. And they had said that they wanted to play the Philadelphia Flyers in Philadelphia with NHL rules. So fine, we were going to disappoint them. And the day before we had the luncheon, they were snickering back and forth, and during the interview process back and forth, and I was just kind of like, it wasn't really on our radar until we were 2 days before playing them. Then it was just like, you could just see you started to ramp up as an individual and as a team, and Freddie devised his play again because he had studied Russian hockey, and their idea is to pull you out of position and then spring a guy. And if you watch, we kind of put up a stone wall against them, and we were physical at every opportunity. We had an opportunity to do that, and I don't think they left the ice because they were intimidated. I think they left the ice because they were frustrated, not knowing how to penetrate our end zone, more so than the physicality. Because they're all in great shape over there. They train hard. They're in the military, and I think it was because we frustrated with our system. I mean, if they're watching our tapes, we didn't play anywhere near the way we played in the rest of the National Hockey League games. So I think it was frustration more so than the physicality.
Did anyone from the NHL talk to you guys before the game to tell you they want you to win or anything like that?
Yeah, they did. All the brass came in and basically told them to get out. They've been busy suspending us, over the last few years, and they hated giving us the Stanley Cup, that we were bad for the league, but we were able to sell out all the buildings that had trouble selling out wherever we would go into. So we are good and bad for the National Hockey League, and they basically come in and say, the whistle's not going to blow that much. Say you guys carte blanche to do what you want to do. And it's like, get out of here. We're going to play for our team and our fans first, and you guys can jump on the bandwagon. So get out of here. So.
Did you feel a sense of pride beating the Soviet?
Yeah, we had played the Czech team. I don't know which year it was. A long time ago. We had played the Czechs and beat the Czechs, and we played a couple other ones before. And back in those days, the Cold War was still going on, so there was instant hate there, and still the same way. I was so happy to see the Russians get beat this year, right in their own home rink. So it was good.
Now, not many people have the opportunity to play in Philadelphia. Are you happy you were blessed with this opportunity to play as a Flyer?
I was blessed to make it in the National Hockey League when there was only 12 teams, and the caveat to that was coming to Philadelphia, and the way that you're treated here, and it still is today. It's all about the players, and the organization does everything to give you the best and to go after the best players to make you a good team. I mean, it's been nothing but chasing that cup. I mean, anybody can come in second or third, but it's just really tough to capture, especially today with the parity out there, and you get an injury to a star guy or something. You're salary cap driven. We're fortunate to play 6, 8, 10 years together, most of us, and that just doesn't happen today.
Now, many of the Flyers from your Stanley Cup teams still reside in the Philadelphia and surrounding areas. Why do you think that is?
Well, basically what happens is, you get embedded in the community, your kids start going to school, and, you get traded away, it's only for a year or two. And if you're going to have an opportunity to go to work, you're better off where you spent, high percentage of your career in one city. And, listen, we don't have any mudslides here, hurricanes, tornadoes. We don't get big fires and stuff like that. I mean, you can fly to have all those things. And, in Philadelphia, you can get to wherever you want to go. It's really, it's a hub for everything. We have great restaurants. You're short hop to AC, New York, wherever you want to go. So it's a pretty cool place to live here.
Now, do you think the Flyers fans have changed at all since your playing days to now?
I think when we first went from the Spectrum to I think it was Core State Center the first time, it seemed to be more corporate sorta. And right now it's young. It's a young crowd that's in here, and they light this place up with enthusiasm at the start and stuff like that. The playoffs are wild and bizarre down here, and the torch has kind of been passed from my generation down almost 2 generations. And you see grandfathers coming in here with their sons and their grandkids and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But it is a young crowd. They really get behind it. The players are obviously younger, but there's good interest. There's good coverage, and the organization does so much giving back in the community and stuff like that I think it's a nice rapport back and forth. It's not just a take. There's a lot that's given back through the Snyder Foundation, Comcast Charities, or Flyers Alumni Charities. I mean, we try to be out there and visible and try to help people out and give back a little bit.
You've been around the Flyers and hockey for many years. How has the NHL changed since your playing days, and do you think that the change was due with Broad Street bullies?
Well, the game is played at a higher level, but that's because training has changed, equipment has changed, nutrition has changed. Obviously, the rules have changed. There's very little respect for anybody playing in the league because you're raised as a gladiator. You have a helmet on, a full face shield as a kid. Not used to having your nose broken or spit your teeth out. As a kid growing up, we never had those things to wear. So, as a result, you can just go flat out, fly out here, whack the heck out of somebody, chop, hack, whack. You don't have to be accountable. You don't have to stand up and fight. You can just skate away. The stage fighting is gone by the wayside. That never changed the tempo of the game. But it's a physical game. It's an emotional game. When two people collide, you want to have a fight. Let them have a fight. But the heads were always taboo back in the day. If anybody put a stick in anybody's head, there was a few guys around. Then you're going to answer the bell. Somebody's going to get you. So you always had that kind of fear in the back. And the things have just changed over the years. I mean, I love watching Craig Berube play, and I'm always enjoyed those guys who battle hard, fight hard, and stand up for the team and stuff like that. But the rules now, if you fight, you have to leave your helmet on. If both guys take their helmets off, then the linesmen have to jump in. They call every little penalty there is out there.
How do you feel about that helmet rule? Do you think that shouldn't be enforced, or
in a fight, or for all the time?
For all the time.
I guess it's just a sign of the time. You can't be a dinosaur all your life, but it's just before. It's now mandated for face shields. Everybody come with a face shield. The game is fast. You can't protect yourself. So I mean, it's all for the betterment. I mean, I hate to see it started when so many young kids were losing their eyes across Canada and getting hit in the face. So the speed of the game had escalated, and I guess the equipment didn't keep up with it. So then they started. Nobody wants to see a kid lose an eye or something like that when, their chances of playing hockey professionally isn't going to happen anyway. So, I'm assuming that it's for the betterment of the game.
Now, as we wrap up, are there any players you still keep in contact with on a daily basis?
Yeah, well, I'm part of the alumni here, and we're getting ready for a big golf outing that we do every year, and we bring in 50 to 60 players from around, from wherever they want to come. We had Michael Renberg in, we had the whole Clark line together. Lindros comes down every year, and LeClaire, Timmy Kerr, and Lindsey Carson, Chikrin, Secord. So, we have a full list of guys that we contact to see if they want to come in. And throughout the course of the year, we do a few things. We've had our alumni guys. We were all together in Toronto for Fred Shearer's induction in the Hall of Fame, and then we had a little party down here for the 40th anniversary, and all the guys stayed over for the Wives Carnival. So, we're out there and around, and we're appreciative of all the effort that everybody put into it for all the years that they've played here. And I said we pretty well reach out to everybody, and the golf outing's been pretty good. We've had Gordie Howe there for 2 years. This will be his third year coming. He comes in with Mark, so kind of a nice little touch to the outing. But seeing guys like Robbie DeMaio and Dave Poulin and guys who you watch go through the system here, and then now they're in different places. So it's kind of neat to get an opportunity to shoot the bull with them for a little bit.
Now, before we go, is there anything else you would like to say to the Philadelphia fans and Flyers fans in general?
Well, yeah, never lose hope. Don't lose faith. They've been great fans. It's been passed down, and it's if you have an opportunity to play in Philadelphia, then you certainly would want to take that advantage because of the fans and the loyalty that they have here. But it's just something they've always done. I mean, no initiative could be successful if you don't have the support of the people, and it's been a great two-way street, and the fans have always been there for us. If you work hard and lose, they accept you, and that turns a lot of free agents away because a lot of players wouldn't want to play where there's pressure. I mean, you could go out to Kansas City back in the day or Cleveland and all these places, but there's nothing like playing in Philadelphia in front of the Philadelphia crowd. And before the other rinks were built, fans were almost sitting right on top of you, and they were always good for an extra goal or so. And I said, if you go out there and just work your tail off every day, win or lose, they'll support you. So, and that's what we have. We have a lunch pail mentality, and that's what the people are. They're hardworking people here in Philadelphia. They work hard for their money to come down and support you, and that's their out. So certainly I've appreciated all those years, and it's the only place I'd want to play.
Are we going to see a Stanley Cup in the next couple of years?
Unfortunately, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know. That's the goal. Nothing else acceptable. I mean, 30 teams are vying for it. Only one team's going to hoist it, and anything can happen. I mean. We had a good run against Chicago there. Things got pretty good. We were in Edmonton when we lost the game out there. For the seventh game, was it 87, I think? And so we've had some opportunity, but it's, I think Clarkey, I don't know who wrote his speech, but when they set the statue there, he said, anybody can lift the Stanley Cup, but not everybody can win it. And I thought it was a pretty classy statement from him. And it's true. I mean, it looks nice. Players will not touch it unless they win it. And if you win it, that's what you play for. You play for the pinnacle. I mean, if you're just looking to show up and get a paycheck, it's not very much fun. But going out with a good group of guys and achieving what your goal is, and we almost had a chance for a three-peat there, but Bernie got hurt, Rick McClish was knocked out, and we got swept by Montreal. But it was only by one goal. I think the last game they scored 2 or 3 goals against us. So it was a pretty close series. So
Mr. Kelly, we thank you for coming on with us. We appreciate the time you've given us, and it was a very good interview. Thank you.
Well, Glenn and Brett, I appreciate the opportunity, and keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This concludes our podcast of Sports and Rants with Brett and Pants. Thank you for listening. Please follow us on Twitter at Sports and Rants. Like us on Facebook. Remember to subscribe to us on iTunes. And visit our website, www.sportsandrant.blogspot.com. It would help our rankings on iTunes if you rate and review our podcast. Thanks, and have a good day.